Hello, welcome to Old Nerd Reads Star Riders. Star Riders is a crowdfunded comic. I got it through Kickstarter, published by Phenom Comics. This is the second book that I have gotten from Phenom Comics. The first one being Hunter Ninja Bear. Pretty cool graphic novel by Chuck Dixon, written by Chuck Dixon. Japanese village is under attack by a freakishly large demonic man-eating bear, and they they come to the conclusion that the only way to fight a bear like this is to go to America and recruit some frontiersmen who fight bears out west in the wilderness all the time, like Davy Crockett, I guess. But not Davy Crockett. He's not in the story. But these Japanese villagers send someone to the early, like, it's probably takes place in the 1880s, I would say, maybe the 1860s, somewhere in that time frame. So the Japanese village sends a couple of their people to America to recruit a posse of these frontiersmen, bring them back to Japan to hunt and kill this bear that's terrorizing the village, and it's really cool. That's kind of a crazy concept, but it works. It's neat. It's fun. It's a fun story. So by getting that book, I found out about this book, and this one, the initial attraction for me was Scott McDaniel. Oops, let me fix this. Was the initial attraction to this book for me was Scott McDaniel, the artist. He became one of my favorite artists back in the '90s with his run on Nightwing. Coincidentally, written by Chuck Dixon, who did Hunter Ninja Bear. Yeah, I was a big Scott McDaniel fan throughout his time at DC Comics, like starting on Nightwing and then moving to Batman and eventually to Superman. He made his way through two of the big three at DC as artist. But I particularly liked his Nightwing run. And he hasn't done a whole lot over the years since those days at DC. So when I found out that he was doing this, I jumped on it. I don't remember much about what the pitch was for the story for Star Riders. It's kind of an epic, so I can generate a tagline in my head for it right now, but it's definitely an epic, hard science fiction story, which I think could easily be translated into a Pixar film, a Disney Tron style film. Yeah, I can see this working as a movie for sure. But like I said, I got it because of Scott McDaniel, but also the writer Tony Bedard. I have a bit of a history reading his material as well. He came on my radar when he worked for, what was it, CrossGen Comics. He wrote a title there called Route 666, and it was about a teenage girl, I think, who escapes from a mental asylum and goes on the run. And she's being pursued by demons. Only she can see it. It's kind of a John Carpenter's them type of thing. Like only she can see these demonic creatures that are behind certain human beings, and she's being pursued by them. And it was a great series. I loved it, and I always looked for more Tony Bedard stuff, but it was kind of few and far between, I guess, when I was looking. I know he did Exiles for Marvel for a little while, and I really liked that title in the beginning, but I dropped off on it, I think, before Tony Bedard had written much of it. But the combination of those two names, despite what the premise of this book was, were enough to draw me in after reading Hunter Ninja Bear. So this is, I don't know if you'd call this a graphic novel or a trade paperback. it reprints 8 comic books, but I don't think they ever put the single issues of this out. I think they put it all together and put it in this trade paperback. So whether you call it a graphic novel or a trade paperback, I'm not sure, but I think either one describes it. But I counted the number of pages in the first issue or chapter, whatever you want to say, and it was 25 pages. So if all 8 of these are 25 pages each, that's 200 pages, I think. So it's pretty good sized. It took me a couple days to read it. The artwork I was really impressed by. Like I said, I was a fan of Scott McDaniel from back in the day when he was doing Nightwing and Batman and Superman. He's one of those artists that, even though he's been around now he's been doing Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and a little bit of this and that, I think since the 90s. So he's been doing this for a while. And a lot of times artists kind of lose the style that they had when they were younger, or when people were real big fans of them. That style kind of goes away that they're famous for, and you get kind of a watered down version of their style. That's not the case here with Scott McDaniel. His artwork is still as cool as I remember it being. It's very of its time, but it's very unique at the same time. I think for the time that this came out, there were other artists that were kind of like him. There was a group of them, I guess, and but he stood out. He had a very distinct, unique style, and he stood out. And so all I've ever really seen him draw is Nightwing, Batman, Superman for the most part, Daredevil, Spider-Man a little bit. But to see, so just, guys in tight suits is what, swinging around cityscapes. And this he's doing this sci-fi artwork in this, and it's amazing. You can tell that it's him, but at the same time, it's like nothing you've ever seen him do before, and it's really great. I'm really impressed with the artwork in this, the coloring as well, the inking, everything. Everything about it's really, really good, high quality. Tony Bedard, better than I remember. This story is really good. It's, like I said, it's an epic, and it starts during it goes back as far as Russia in the 1920s, ends up in Nazi Germany, ends up in 50s and 60s America, goes all the way up to the 90s, and that's where this takes off into space, is in the early 1990s. And so it's very epic because it covers that many years, and I'm really impressed with this storytelling, with the chapters, the division of the story into chapters. Like I said, this could easily go either way. Since it's 8 issues, it could be a trade paperback, I guess. See, they include the covers before each chapter of what it would have been if it was released as a single issue of a comic, which I don't think it was. So, I mean, this is either a graphic novel divided up into 25-page-ish chapters, or it's trade paperback, reprinting comics that never got printed. So, but excellent story. Had me in several spots, like actually, being excited for the characters, feeling for them. That's pretty hard to do. I'm an old nerd, like my channel says, and I've read comics for most of my life, and it's very rare that happens, where you actually get kind of emotionally involved in the story. It does not happen too often, especially for me, but I've got a cold, dead black heart. Anyway, like I said, I could see this being a movie. Absolutely, like being a Pixar movie, maybe. It deals with some really interesting concepts, like like the name of the story is Transhuman, and these Earth astronauts take off in the first ship that can go faster than light, and they end up on the edge of the universe, and at that point they're taken over by an alien presence, an alien civilization that's blasting through space, and their bodies, they're stripped of their bodies and their brains are put in these robots. So that's transhumanism, like still human living inside a machine so you can live forever, be healthier, do more things with your robotic appendages, whatever. So it deals with that quite a bit. And also time travel. It's kind of an alternate history story. It's got a lot to do with Nazi scientists, Nazi rocket scientists, the Cold War space race between Russia and America. It's even got kind of a Tony Stark / Elon Musk type billionaire that finances like tech stuff. So it's like a near history, and then it just goes right into hard sci-fi, but it's still fun. Like I said, I could see it being a Pixar film, but that's just me. But that's Star Riders. Like I said, I got it from Kickstarter. Also got this cool Star Riders sticker. Comes with it. That was pretty nice. I use it as a bookmark. But this is a keeper. I think this could even be a reread. And apparently there's a volume 2 in the works. According to the back of this, they've got a bunch of their books advertised in the back. But what you want to do to find, if you're interested, is go to their website, which is, they have it on here? It's phenomcomics.com. I don't see it on here. But it's this, phenomcomics.com. But in the back they have some advertisements for other books that they've done or are doing. And some of them look pretty cool. We've got Mel Ruby, if anybody knows who Mel Ruby is, writing some stuff. Who else have they got that maybe people have heard of? Like I said, Chuck Dixon, Hunter Ninja Bear, that's Chuck Dixon. This looks cool, Subdivision, The Great Divide. That looks kind of neat. But yeah, if you go to their website, phenomcomics.com, you can find out all about them. And I think that, yeah, they're going to be on, the paperback is going to be available on Amazon. I think there's going to be a digital version up there. Where else? I guess they're trying to get it in stores too. They're working with distributors or stores or something. So they'll actually be on the shelf maybe if you walk into your local comic shop at some point in the near future. But anyway, that's Old Nerd Reads Star Riders. If you like this, stick around. I do a little bit of review here and there, but mostly on my channel I do a video series of me reading my Marvel Comics collection in release date order. So right now I'm just finishing 1976, the comics that I have in my collection from 1976. I'm about to start 1977. So if that sounds interesting to you, I put out a video for each comic I read. If that seems interesting, please subscribe. But I appreciate you watching, and please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.